Hi.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hi, Andy. Is there anything I need to do to make sure that you can share, screen share?
I think we're good. Let me, depending upon how it's set up, it may ask you for permission for me to do that. But if the meeting settings are such that anyone can share, I will just share, starting with the agenda when the meeting starts.
Thank you. Would Karen be willing to state their last name so that for the attendance?
Hi there. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was working on technical difficulties. Apologies, as we always do at the beginning of these meetings. It's Keegan, Keegan. And we've also got Roy LeClaire here as well. So Karen and Roy.
Hi, Andy. How are you, Andy?
Thank you, Tessa.
Thank
Doing,
you.
doing well. Nice to see you all.
Why am I not on, oh, here it is. Okay. Here I am. Hello. Hello, Tessa. Hello, Andy. And who's Lisa Kaplan?
Good evening.
Hi, how are you? I own that property that abuts the one that's
Okay.
going to be modified.
All right. Hi, Grant. How are you? Nice to see you, Grant. There's Andy. Okay. There's Steve and Megan. Is that right? Am I looking at Steve and Megan? Hello. Chuck Damari here. Okay. All right. We're waiting for Jeff still. And we have 2 more minutes. Okay.
So someone just got admitted on the phone.
I'm sorry, you have what?
There was a phone number. Someone just called in.
Oh, okay, good. Who's that? Who was on the phone?
Could the person on the phone please unmute themselves temporarily to state their name?
Hi, yes, this is Mike Shannabrook.
Okay.
Hi.
And Tessa, of course, you probably already know this, but make sure that anybody who's here's name is recorded for the minutes, okay, Tessa? I think you can read them all except for me. It says iPad, but you know who I am. So I guess we're just waiting for Jeff. Okay.
Looks like Jeff has arrived.
Hi, Jeff. Where are you?
Josie's connecting.
Hi, Jeff. Good to see you. Okay, I think it's 7. Does anybody, well, no, I have 6:59. Does anybody have a 7 o'clock time yet? Yeah, 6:59. Okay, we'll wait another minute.
There we go. I have 7 now, so.
So I have 7 now. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is approval of the most recent ZBA meeting minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve.
Just one moment. Do you want me to read the opening statement? I have it in front of me.
Okay, if that's what you're supposed to do,
Yep.
do it.
All right. Following the governor's restrictions on public meetings, this meeting is being held virtually using zoom.com for remote participation only. The public may access it following the instructions on this meeting's agenda posted on the town calendar. If, despite our best efforts, we are not able to provide real-time access, the public can request a recording of this meeting by contacting the town clerk.
Okay, and now I have on my screen, I have to see, I want to see everybody, so you can take that off the screen,
Okay.
Tessa.
That's me. I can stop. That's the agenda for today.
Oh, yeah, okay. We all have that, right? You all have that?
Yeah.
Does everybody have a copy of the agenda in front of them? A hard copy?
Yes.
Okay, good, very good. All right, now the first order of business is the approval of the most recent ZBA minute meetings. I will entertain a motion to approve. Jeff has so moved, is that correct? Jeff Lacy has moved to approve. Any seconds, please?
Second.
Okay, Andy seconds. All in favor, say aye, raise your hand. Or your
Aye.
finger. Okay, all in favor? It's passed unanimously. Okay, great. Let's go to the second agenda item is the public hearing for a special permit and or a variance relevant to the application of Stephen and Megan, spelled last name Mikola JCZUK. Please pronounce that for me.
Mikolajczyk.
Okay, thank you so much. And this is for reconstruction of a house at 32 Lake Drive, Shutesbury, Massachusetts.
Correct.
Okay, hold on. I want to read the notice of virtual public hearing into the record that's been posted and run consecutively for 2 weeks. Notice is hereby given that the Shutesbury Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a virtual public hearing on September the 30th, 2020 at 7 p.m. on the following application. Again, the application of Stephen and Megan. Please say it again.
Mikolajczyk.
Okay. For property located at 32 Lake Drive for a special permit and or a variance pursuant to Article 9, Section 9.3, Article 10, Section 10.3-2, and or other sections of the Shutesbury bylaw for the reconstruction of a house on the existing footprint, but increasing the current height of 21.5 feet to no more than 26.5 feet. In addition, the applicants intend to construct a 20-foot wide by 8 feet deep porch on the lakefront side of the house with the minimum lake setback. The new porch will further encroach on the side setbacks, but that's not true, right? It's going to be encroaching only on the lakeside setback. Is that correct?
It's within the lakeside setback.
Yeah, but no encroachment on the side setback, correct?
It's gonna come in 2 feet on each
Yeah.
side.
No, it's not going to further encroach. Yep.
Not going to further encroach, even though we
Yes.
noticed it that way. We all agreed that that was a mistake in your application, but it's not any fatal mistake because it's not happening at all. So again, it's going to go into the minimum lake setback, not the side setbacks. The new porch will will extend it to approximately the bottom of the existing exterior stairs. Copies of these applications are available on the Zoning Board of Appeals website at www.shutesbury.org. This is case number 20-002. Okay. So again, for the record, for those of you who, of course, were not privy to the conversations between myself and Stephen, there was a mistake in the application, but it's not fatal because it's going to be less, not more. Again, all our concern here today is we're going to increase the height by 5 feet, or we're going to do that or not. And we're going to extend a porch out, 20-foot wide porch by 8 feet deep porch. Stephen, let me ask you a question. Is it fair to say the 8 feet deep porch, is that 8 feet closer to the lake, or how many feet closer to the lake?
Yes, it's 8 feet closer to the lake, but it's within the 25-foot setback from the mean high water mark.
Okay, so it's not going to encroach in the setback then?
No.
So there'll be no encroachment whatsoever of the porch. If we were to approve this, there's no encroachment whatsoever of the porch, either on the sidelines or the lakeside, correct?
As I understand it, correct, yes. Because it's not going to be any wider than the house. It's going to be narrower than the house and extend back 8 feet.
But the 8 feet that extends back is not going to encroach on any setback with respect to the lake. Is that what
Correct.
you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
it's shown in the plan.
All right. So okay. But of course, that porch doesn't exist right now. Is that correct at all?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So that's an extension of even though it's not going to.
There are exterior stairs.
I'm sorry?
There are exterior stairs.
Okay.
There's a staircase, but there's no porch.
There's no porch.
Okay. All right. And of course, the height is 21.5 feet. You're going to 26.5. So you want to go 5 feet higher than it is, correct?
Correct.
And you, is the mock-up still there that I asked you to construct?
To my knowledge, I haven't been there in a week and a half, but it was when I left.
Okay.
It was there as of today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Andy, did you inspect it today, Andy?
I inspected it today, and it is there standing strong.
Okay,
So
okay. And for the record, I want to state that I also inspected it prior to the time you made the application. In anticipation of the occupation, Herb, I understand you inspected it at some point too? Is that what?
He's on mute.
Herb, you gotta put you're muted. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, probably in the top of
I
yours.
got it.
There
Yeah,
you are. Great.
yeah, I did.
Okay.
Rode my
Okay.
bike down there.
All right. Jeff, did you inspect the mock-up? Jeff Lacy?
I saw it today.
Okay, great. Excellent. So we all have seen it. Are there any abutters here for this application? If you are, can you just, okay, you are Lisa Kaplan? Is
That's
that your name?
correct.
Okay. Did you inspect the mock-up?
No, I've not been able to get up there. I don't live in Massachusetts.
Okay, okay. There is
And
a mock-up.
unfortunately, I have a situation that's a healthcare situation where we have to be isolated
Okay,
until my husband has his surgery tomorrow. So
okay, okay.
Which
We're
Can
gonna
house
see
you, can you
mock-up.
hear me? I'm
sorry.
David,
are you talking to me, David, or to somebody else?
to the whoever's running the meeting.
Not
I'm
me.
running the meeting, but let me finish making sure I'm having a conversation right now.
No, I
Lisa-
just wanted to say that I'm also in a butter.
Okay, no, okay, thank you. So Lisa, I just want you to know that that mock-up is still there. If you, at some point you want to take a ride and just look at it, you don't have to leave your car, your Jeep.
Yeah, no, I
whatever.
mean, I hope to get up there this weekend, depending on how the surgery goes.
Okay,
But it's a very significant health issue. And
Okay.
so our suite of doctors, I'm sequestered because he's sequestered. And until he has that surgery tomorrow, we have to stay this way, and we're not supposed to leave the state, and I can't do anything until he has the surgery or he loses his place in line. So
okay. You're where are you right now in the state of Connecticut?
Connecticut, yeah.
Okay. And David, you're also a butter, is that right, David?
That's right.
And have you seen the mock-up?
Yes, I have.
Okay, very good. Are there any other abutters here?
David, do you mind stating your last name for the
Home,
record?
Holmes, Holmes.
Thank you.
Are there any other
Karen
abutters here?
and Roy are also abutters. Karen and Roy.
Karen Roy, I don't see. Are you on the phone?
No, we're logged in there.
Karen?
We talked to Tessa. We logged in.
It says
Okay.
Karen.
Yep. Karen and Roy are here.
Okay, maybe I don't know why I can't see you, but okay.
Name- Your name is, I think, iPad. Our name is Karen.
Okay, but I don't see a Karen anywhere, but it's okay. It's probably somewhere else. Maybe it's the side. Oh, yeah, maybe that way. I don't know where it is, but I can't see it. Okay, Karen, have you seen the mock-up? Karen?
Does the mock-up mean the boards that are up on the roof? Is that what mock-up means?
Yeah, in other words, you can see the house, and then if you'll see the proposed how the house is going to be raised up both on the side and to the peak. That's what that mock-up is. That depicts what will be built there if we approve it as asked for.
Okay, yes, yes.
You've seen that. Okay, good.
Yes.
Are there any other abutters here? Okay, so let me turn back to you, Stephen, and Megan, and we have an application. By the way, can you? I'm looking at your application, and since I got a copy that was emailed to me, can you tell me the date you applied and you paid the check?
We gotta print it out here.
I think it was August 18th.
Where is the?
Yeah, let me get the check. It's in the-
Sorry, we've got it. We got it up. Just gotta find
Okay,
it.
you look for it. Tessa, while they're doing that, Tessa, do you have a filing date officially from the clerk's office?
Yes, it was August 24th.
August 24th, okay? And,
My check is dated the 21st, so I think by the time they processed it.
okay, August 24th. Does that sound correct to you, Stephen, Megan? Approximately around August 24th is the filing date?
Yeah, I believe that was a Monday. We dropped it off on a Friday, I think.
Okay. And
So that makes sense.
The clerk didn't get it until a Monday.
Yep.
Jeff, Jeff Lacy, could you please remind me of the application for a special permit and or a variance? Probably it's going to be a special permit. Can you remind me of the deadlines? Is it 60 days, 65, 90 from the filing that we have to take action but for or a continuance?
Just off the top of my head, that we have to hold a public hearing within 65 days of
65
receiving an
days.
application for a special permit. And then
Okay,
once the hearing is closed, we have 90 days to make a decision.
okay,
If it's a variance, then I believe it's 90 days to do the whole thing.
okay. Okay, it's probably not going to be a variance, but we'll talk about that. All right, so we are well within the time frames here. If we look at August 24th, today is September the 30th. So I'm assuming, and Jeff, please correct me if I'm wrong, as long as we continue this hearing, if we do continue this hearing to a date sooner than, say, October 23rd, before October 23rd, we're well within the timelines. Is that correct?
Well, the requirement for a special permit is to open the hearing within 65 days.
We already did that, so we're all set.
So
So we have
we're set
absolutely
there.
we have no timeline deadlines right now that are, except for many months out from now,
Right.
correct? All right,
And if we extend the public hearing, then that just puts off the 90-day decision period
Okay.
a little longer.
okay. And for that, do you think we need if we assume we continue this to a date before October the 23rd, assuming we have it before that date, do you see any need for any continuation documents signed by myself and the applicant? Jeff?
Yeah, any continuation of a hearing has to be agreed upon by an applicant and the board, and we need to have that document.
Okay, all right, all right, Tessa, so thank you for bringing that to our attention. And we can do this virtually, is what Linda saying that, Tessa, is that correct?
Linda, so board, Linda was suggesting, I have made a Word document of the continuation form. Linda was suggesting, because it does not need to be registered with the Registry of Deeds, that this document could perhaps be share screened, and that the applicant and the board could approve the form remotely. And then I would print it out tomorrow and get it signed by the town, filed by the town clerk.
And you're saying I don't have to sign it and the applicants don't have to sign it? Is that what Linda's saying? Because I can just run up there.
That Andy could screen share it, and that you could see him type your names in
Oh, okay.
through the
Okay.
screen, and
Okay.
with your approval and the approval
Okay.
of the applicant.
Okay, all right, that's fine. And you can do that, Andy, right?
I can do that, we're ready to go if that's necessary.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so now, Steve, going back to you and Megan, this is your opportunity to convince us that we should approve the special permit and or a variance. And just preliminarily, I understand you have gone before the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health. Is that correct?
Correct. We've gotten approval through the Board of Health for our septic system, a gravity-fed septic system, and a deep well out back, a drilled well, and we got approval from Conservation Commission to do that. And along with we've had the proposed footprint for the porch on there as well, and the Conservation Commission approved that plan as submitted. So we have
Okay.
approval from them. And as far as the house goes, we're looking to improve it because it's original, and it's just it's non-year round. So we're looking to make something that's usable, more usable for us and our family.
Okay.
And it's on a very small footprint, and we're keeping it on the same footprint. We're not trying, other than asking for the porch, but the main house, we're staying within the same footprint, the existing footprint, and that we worked very hard to try to make a usable design in that footprint.
Okay.
And that involved going up just 5 feet. We understand that in the bylaws, it looks like we're allowed to petition to go up to 28 feet, but we we found a way to, kind of compromise a little and come down 1.5 feet from that to lessen the impact.
Okay,
And I
okay.
think you'll see from the mock-up that we try to keep with the kind of the theme of the original structure, which was built, we think, in the 30s. So we're trying to really keep kind of the same context of the existing structure and make it just more usable.
Okay.
And with a limited lot size, there really isn't much to have a septic system and stuff in there. There's really not much more room to extend other than up.
Okay, and I noticed in your application, you submitted the plans of what this house looks like, the new constructed house, correct?
Yeah, that's the elevations as seen from the outside.
Okay, all right. Have you discussed this, Steve or Megan, with any of your immediate abutters on each side of you and or across the street from you?
Yes, I discussed it with David Holmes, and I discussed it with Glenn and Tony. They're not next door, and then Susan's on the other side of Glenn and Tony.
Okay. Did you discuss it with Lisa Kaplan in any way, shape, or form at any time?
No, I've
I
never.
don't know, Lisa.
Never.
I don't, sorry.
Haven't had the opportunity.
Not
to
had
meet
the
her.
pleasure of meeting, no.
Okay,
Where
all
are
right.
you located, Lisa?
We're just up the road from you, like up Stebbins Road.
Okay.
So it's just well, never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're gonna, and I'm going to talk to you, but the point is you haven't talked to her yet about this.
No.
Well, I think the reach is pretty far, and I'm not familiar with where Lisa lives, but I mean, that's probably 3 rows back. I mean, that's probably a row behind us.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a huge thing of trees that I wouldn't be able to even see that house.
No, actually, I had a lot of them cut down 2 weeks ago.
We'll get into that later. We don't have, right now it's just preliminary.
I'm just saying I'm not familiar.
No, I'm saying
with
that might help you know where the house is because there was a lot of work.
Yeah, we're gonna pinpoint that when we talk to you directly. As to the people you did speak to, what is the feeling? I know some of them are here, but they can speak for themselves, but can you give me your perspective of what they feel in terms of what those conversations were?
Sure. I spoke with David Holmes, and he wasn't too fond of going up. And I spoke with him for a little while about that. And also with the other 2 abutters, they were pretty, they seemed to be pretty supportive, and they wrote letters because they weren't sure if they were going to be able to attend the hearing because one of them heads back to Arizona for the winter months. So I submitted those letters with my application.
Those letters are part of your application, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. And I know I've asked you to review the bylaw with respect to special permits. Did you have a chance to look at those criteria?
Yes.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
this is Karen and Roy, and we're direct abutters right next door, but we weren't mentioned, nor were we talked to about this. I just want to make that known.
We're gonna, every single abutter will have an opportunity to speak, okay? And we're
Okay.
gonna get to you, but right now, I just want to focus on the applicants and who they talked to and what they did. And while they justify this, I do want my members to look at, I think is it page 60, I think, 60, you get on page 61. 65, but 61 starts the site plan review and special permit section of the bylaws, and then going into review criteria on page 65. Okay. Not going to get there yet. Page 66, isn't it 66?
Yeah.
The people
56.
have the bylaws. Jeff, you have the bylaws. We're looking at the ones amended May 4th, 2019.
Yeah,
And
I
I
have
think it's
the-
on page 66.
yeah, I have the bylaw, and it's not readily apparent, but when we are doing these Article 5 the expansion or changes to non-conforming uses,
Yeah,
we don't use the special permit criteria that normally apply on page 60 or wherever they are. We use something that comes right out of state statute.
okay.
It's on, it's in section 6.1-3. C.
In our bylaw, 6.1-3, you said?
6.1-3C.
Okay, hold on. What page is that on, Jeff?
It's on my page 24 over to 25.
Okay, hold on. If all our members can at least go to that area. Six point one, say that again, Jeff, 6.1 what?
6.1-3C.
C, the zoning board of appeals may grant a special permit to allow such reconstruction, extension, structural change, or major exterior alteration of a non-conforming structure or expansion of a non-conforming use, provided that the board finds that such reconstruction, extension, structural change, major exterior alteration, or expansion is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming structure or use. In granting such a special permit, the zoning board of appeals shall be required to consider the special permit review criteria contained in section 9.2-2.
No, shall not.
Not.
So it
Okay,
shall not be
okay,
required.
I'm sorry, thank you very much. Okay, all right, so we're gonna focus on that then. Okay, now focusing on that, Stephen and Megan, it looks like if we're gonna grant a special permit, that we have to make a specific finding that this reconstruction or this extension could be going up in terms of the height. It could be going out in terms of the porch. This structural change, this major exterior alteration is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming structure or use. So that's what you have to focus on. So now this is your opportunity to tell us why we should grant this based on that criteria.
Okay, so there's there's been a lot of improvements around that, in that district, in the Lake Wyola district, where owners have raised their houses up actually higher than, up to the max 28 feet around there. So we're not going up as high as that, but we're also kind of improving the property as far as the usability of it and the just the appearance, and having a up-to-date septic system and a real well and things like that, and a newer and more energy efficient home that we're trying to construct there.
We also removed a number of pine trees that were pretty deleterious to the area, which have improved other people's view. And we've kept in mind, folks' view when not going up to the full 28 feet. And again, trying to keep in the vein of the existing structure. It's going to look substantially similar to what was there, and it will, fit in nicely. And the house itself was neglected for years. So we've spent a lot of time to try to clean it up since we've purchased it, to, again, make it a benefit to the community overall.
Okay. Can I ask a question as to each side of the house on the same side, the lake side? Can you tell me the approximate height of those other two houses that are immediately beside you?
We've always been higher than Karen's home. The existing structure is higher than Karen's home. Is that what you're speaking on the lake side?
Yeah, well, I'm talking about either side of you.
Yeah,
One
we've
side
always
is Karen.
been, due to the peak of the existing house, it's always higher. So we're probably a couple feet higher than Karen's peak.
Okay.
And same with the other side.
And the existing structure is already higher than the two direct abutters.
Okay. Your existing structure presently, without going 5 feet higher, is the same or a little bit higher than the two on each side of you on the lake side. Is that correct?
Yeah,
They're
probably
higher. They're definitely higher.
Ours is a couple feet higher, I'd say, 2 to 3 feet.
And how about across the
Just a
street?
little bit higher than Karen's house. It's significantly higher than the house next door on the other side.
Okay.
Who's talking? Who's talking? Who
David.
said that?
I'm actually
Yeah.
I'm actually in the meeting twice as David and as David Holmes because my computer didn't have a camera, so I thought you might want to see me. So I'm using my iPod for a camera.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're not into the public comment time yet.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, just
Oh, sorry, I was
wait.
trying to help.
Because the problem is when you start speaking, I don't know who's speaking and I have to kind of be focused this meeting. So, you know, we'll get to you. Every abutter will have an opportunity to speak. You know, so.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know the form of the meeting.
Yeah, okay, so, how about
So, yeah,
across the street?
So
Steve,
across-
back to my question.
Yeah,
Across the
directly
street.
across the street is Marty Ostrowski. And he is substantially higher. And I mean,
Okay.
we're talking like
20 feet.
25 feet higher. And then per the guidelines for the, is it persons of interest? Like the direct abutter across the street is Steve Savoda. It's a white home, it's a rental. That house is
Probably a little higher than ours. I'd say maybe 8 feet if I had to guess without measuring. It's tough to tell.
Okay, all right.
So those two houses are directly impacted by our house.
Have you talked to Steve Savoda about this?
You know, it's a rental.
So we haven't seen him.
I don't know who he is.
Yeah. And he hasn't been to any of our other public hearings for the Board of Health or Conservation Commission.
Okay. All right, is there anything else either one of you want to say right now? You'll have another opportunity later to talk after the abutters speak, but do you have anything else more you want to say right now?
I mean, I just think simply put, you know, like I've spent my whole life at the lake, and we found an opportunity to find a house that we can improve and have something that's going to be a long-term solution. You know, we don't have to, you know, we're able to put in a gravity-fed septic, which is tried and true. You know, we're rebuilding the house in the footprint, which will be substantially similar. I mean, we're really trying to make something that's an improvement to the community for a long time. And we're trying not to have something that's a short-term solution, or, you know, we're not looking to have a rental property or an Airbnb or anything like that. I mean, we're in it for the long haul here for our family, and we're just looking for a way to improve this property really for the long term.
Are you increasing, how many bedrooms do you presently have?
2, and there'll be 2.
How many bedrooms do you have after the reconstruction?
2.
2. How many bathrooms do you presently have?
We have 1.
And after the reconstruction, will it still be 1?
No, we'll have a couple more just because we're able to get one hopefully we can get one in the basement.
So you're going to have 2 more bathrooms. Is that what you're saying? If this is approved as is submitted, okay.
Yes.
Any other, besides the porch, besides the height, besides additional bathrooms, no additional bedrooms, is there any other spaces that we should know about?
No, just a little office since
I work from home.
Since Megan works from home 100% of the time now, so.
It's a pretty modest footprint to begin with. It's not going to be dramatically increased.
All right.
And it's 23 by 31 feet. It's pretty modest.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to say? Again, you'll have another opportunity to speak.
No.
Okay. I'm at this point, I'm going to turn to my members, Jeff Lacey and Andy Berg and Herb Gilmore. Do any of you have any questions just for the applicants at this time?
I do.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Just from looking at your plans, how will you access your well site?
Where we have to tear the house down to get the well truck in. And then there should be enough room. There should be 8.5 feet. There's enough room on the side to get stuff in and out later on to service it if we need to. Not like a well rig, but if we need to get some light equipment back there. And there's also a big pine tree we have to take the house, once the house comes down, we're gonna remove a big pine tree because that's the only opportunity to get it down.
That's the pine tree to the north of your house?
Yeah, down by the water, right in between the two houses. And my neighbor is very happy if we can get that out of there.
Is that the last tree on the site?
Last big one, there's a smaller birch on the other side.
Okay. Another question, you said gravity septic. So the road, the front part of your property is higher than the other part. So it's really going to be gravity?
So
It's really going to be gravity coming up the hill to the west?
So if you look, it's kind of, if our plan, there's a lot going on that site plan that we submitted on there. It's got the approved grading from the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health. So we're going to raise the grade up. So that way we can achieve having a gravity fed system. So we're going to raise the grade from the road to the house, which is basically going to fill that in and be on level with the two houses next to us, because they're on one grade right by the road. Then we have a parking area, and then we dip down 5 feet, and then we come right back up. And the leach field is going to go up 10 feet from the road. And then behind that is the septic tank and then the house. So if we fill that area in to kind of bring everything up on the same level between all the houses, that's how we achieve a gravity fed septic system.
So it sounds like you're going to alter the topography of the site. Now it kind of slopes down from the road to the
Yes.
house. So you're gonna build it up in the house area so that you can actually drain back towards the road.
Yes.
And then you're gonna go 26 feet from that finished grade?
No. So if you look at our elevations, we're going to be, I think it's like 14 and a, it's not, so I measured from the current middle of the house, the middle going back towards the lake. And that's where we were 21 and a half feet to the peak. And I still kept from there. So if you have our application, which has the elevations, if you see the new finished grade from the road, that's only going to be like, how is that? 8 plus, like, it's not, I'm trying to, from the road, it's not going to be that, I don't know how to describe it. We're not
like moving the house up 5 feet.
from where it is now.
So like we're actually not changing the core structure of the home. It's being moved up 5 feet to accommodate the new grade, and then just the redesign of the house. So that's why I'm saying it's substantially similar. We'll be lifting it in theory. I mean, it's a rebuild, but visually it'll be lifted, and that grade will be in line with Karen's driveway and Glenn and Tony Humphreys's driveway. And so the house from the road, you're just going to see a smooth grade. And we're going to be installing drainage solutions and things like that per our order of conditions for the Conservation Commission.
So if you pick the point of reference from somewhere and measure to where the current peak is, and then after this whole thing's done, pick the point of reference and went up, that's where the 5 feet is going to be higher from that point of reference.
So your drawings show a finished grade with your proposed addition, and then measuring from there, not measuring from the house as it exists today. But
I have current existing grade on there, and then I have new grade.
All right, I'm going to have to take a look at those drawings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's confusing. I tried to non-confuse it, but I don't know if I succeeded at that.
Go from like the center, so it's hard to.
Because we have a lot going on with the topography. You are correct with that.
Okay.
So we tried to kind of just show how it was only going up that much.
Okay, I'm going to look at that more carefully because height is important to me.
Yes.
The last question. So you have a first floor now. The house is sort of on piers, doesn't really have a basement, and then you've got a sort of a second floor, with a peaked roof.
Yes.
So what you're proposing is to have a basement, a first floor, and then because of your dormers and the increased height, an almost full second story?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're doing a lower pitched roof to achieve that.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for right
Okay.
now.
Thank you.
Andy, do you have any questions?
Not immediately. No, I was, just looking at the just the drawing with the current existing grade, and I think that has answered my immediate questions.
Okay.
That this looks like this is measured from the midpoint to get to the 26 feet elevation.
Herb, do you have any questions?
I have a question about use,
Go ahead.
what the area is going to be used for, the new area that's created.
Oh, the porch?
No,
Oh,
the
sorry.
upstairs, the second floor.
Oh, that's just going to be 2 bedrooms and bathroom.
Okay.
Okay, now,
So it's going to remain a single-family dwelling. That's
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We have a 2-bedroom deed restriction
same.
filed already. It's been registered with the county.
okay, I do have, and please correct me if I'm wrong about this. You submitted 2 letters, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I just want to reference those letters and make them a part of the record. I'm going to read the letters. One is dated August 18th, 2020. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's signed by Glenn Humphreys and Tony Teagard. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, so this is just a very brief letter. It looks like they're writing from Fort Mojave, Arizona. And they're saying that they're direct abutters to 32 Lake Drive. We are writing to recommend approval of Megan and Stephen M's proposed improvements at 32 Lake Drive. We have had an opportunity to review the plans and believe the project will retain the character of the existing house while improving the overall neighborhood setting. When the M's purchased the property in July 2019, the house and grounds were derelict. They have spent considerable time and energy cleaning the house and grounds, and we are excited to see the proposed project come to fruition. Okay, so Tessa, just make sure that this is included in the minutes and just reference the dates and the signatures. Also, I have another letter dated August 18th, directed to myself and the ZBA and signed by a Susan Penlilo. Is Susan here, by the way? No, okay. And this is dear Mr. Damari and the ZBA members. I am the owner resident of 28 Lake Drive, and I am uncertain if I will be able to attend the public hearing regarding the proposed project at 32 Lake Drive. So I decided to write a letter to show my support for the project. The property at 32 Lake Drive has been neglected and overgrown for almost a decade before Megan and Stephen M. purchased it last year. Since owning the property, they have already made improvements to the neighborhood by cleaning up the area and having 4 huge hazardous pine trees removed. The M's shared their proposed house and lot plans with me, and I am excited to see that they were able to come up with a great design that I believe will fit in well with the neighborhood. I think their project will improve the looks and value of the neighborhood, and I am hopeful that the project will get improved. Signed, Susan Penlilo. Okay, the other thing I want to put in for the record, even though now it's clear that we need not, although we could, but we are not required to look at the permit review criteria contained in section 9.2-2. I'm noting in your application that you in fact submitted a document with proposed specific findings 1 through 9. Is that right?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we were supposed to do that or not.
Okay, but you did do that.
Yes.
And looking at it as to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, it's your position, as you wrote in your application, that you in fact comply with the review criteria in section 9. Is that correct?
Yes, it was kind of confusing with the negatives.
It
Go ahead.
doesn't matter. It
Double
doesn't matter. We're not required. We may, but we're not required. But you looked at that and you're convinced that you, notwithstanding that we don't have to look at that, you believe if we did look at that, it would pass all the criteria. Is that correct?
Yes.
From our understanding.
All right. We can, obviously we all have an opportunity to look at that again later, but I'm saying that for the abutters so they can look at it too if they so desire. Okay. Is there anything else, Steve or Megan, that you want to say right now? Because what I'm going to do now is move to the abutters in a moment. Is there anything you want to say, or before I do move? I see you shaking your head no, Steve. And
No,
Megan,
I
you're
think we're
shaking your head no. Nothing you want to say? Okay.
nothing additional. Thank you.
All right. Asking Herb and Andy and Jeff, the other members, is there any other questions you want to ask the applicants right now?
Just a question about the height again, from where that extra 5 feet is being measured from. That's the actual 5 feet from the level of the ground as it is now.
Yes.
Yep.
So if you look at the roof, the peak of the roof where it is now, go up 5 feet on that.
Regardless of the fact that you're going to be raising the ground by X amount of feet.
That's all taken into
Yeah,
account.
it's all
Yeah, so
assumes the grade change.
as the grades going up has nothing to do with the house going up. It's not that we're not raising the grade and then going up 5, then resetting the measurement from there. It's from the original
measurement. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not good at explaining that.
No, I think I got that.
Okay, thank you.
Andy or Jeff, anything right now? Obviously, you're going to have lots more of opportunities. Okay. How many abutters are here? I know some of you are by phone, some of you are in person. How many who's in person here? Do we have, I see we have Lisa in person. Is there anyone else in person?
David.
All the rest, who, David? Yeah, I still can't see you, but we'll get to you.
Maybe I can fix this.
It's all right. No.
I can see David.
I've got one device acting as a camera and the other device acting as a microphone.
Okay, well.
We can see you.
We can see you.
I can see David. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know why I can't, but I can't.
You just swipe over.
David, but I can't right now.
Yeah, just swipe over.
Up or down? Swipe up or down?
Well, whatever your screen has to expand your screen. Whatever you have to do.
Well,
there you go.
Well, I lost you. Hold on.
Karen and Roy are by audio.
Okay, well, I can't. Yeah, I don't know why I can't see you, but it's okay. Let's go to Lisa. I see Lisa. Lisa, can you comment on this? Do you want to comment on this?
Just for clarification, and please forgive me, you bought the old Smith house, right?
The red roof, Althea Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Congratulations on all the work you are doing. My main concern, since I'm like one house up, so kind of in between you and Tony, like my house comes up there, my main concern was how high up you were going to go. That was my main concern. But we've been at the lake since 1951. And so I can say that I appreciate the effort that you've made to maintain the character and to not produce a structure that is high that blocks my view of the lake, because this is about me being self-interested, right? I want to make sure I still can see the lake, which is why I cut down my pine trees that were ready to fall down. So I totally appreciate the effort that you made. And I think that you did a great job explaining about the grade and how it's not 5 feet on top of changing what you're changing. And so I appreciate the time and the diligence that you took with that. And I don't, for the board members, hold it in any way, shape, or form that that they did not reach out to see me, because what's been going on the last 2 months, I've been unreachable. And for the first time in 54 years, I haven't spent almost every weekend up at the lake. So I totally understand about that. So that's not a negative at all. Okay. And I wish you a lot of luck. Like I said, as long as it doesn't end up being like this big monstrosity that blocks the view and makes me think, oh, good God, I really appreciate that you didn't go right to the 1/4 inch maximum of where you could go. And I wish you a lot of luck with your new home. Hopefully everything.
Great. We appreciate that. Thank you.
So Lisa, can I draw reasonable inferences based on what you just said? You have, given now what you know, you have no objection to the project. Is that fair to say?
Given what I've heard, provided that what I've heard is what actually bears out.
Yeah,
And
right.
I'm not saying that you guys would do this, but I've lived enough to see that modifications upon modifications, and then people do stuff and then all of a sudden it's a problem. But bearing what I've heard, it does not negatively impact me for them to go up 5 feet.
Okay, great. And just so you know, there's a substantial probability that we will continue this hearing for a week or 2 or 3. And you do have an opportunity, if you want, to drive by and look at the mock-up and to see if what they're proposing is basically what they've told us tonight and what we have in the application. So just so I invite you to do that if you want.
Yeah, no, I fully expect to be able to actually go out into the world by Sunday. So that's
Okay,
where I'm
so
keeping
maybe
my
next
fingers
week.
crossed.
Okay. All right, Lisa. Do you want to say anything else, Lisa?
No.
Okay, you'll have another opportunity later. Now, another abutter who says everybody else can see him, but I can't. Who is that? Oh, yes, go ahead, Lisa.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is it okay if I leave the meeting?
Sure.
I need to go to sleep because I have to get up unbearably early.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good luck. It's nice to meet you all. Sorry I haven't met you in person. In the summer, I'll see you, or in the winter, hopefully, okay? Bye, thank you.
Take care, bye-bye. Or maybe when you disappear, someone else will show up. Yeah, someone named David showed up. David, is your other, are you in a butter, David? David, I think you're muted. David, you're muted.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, so David
No,
Holmes?
I'm not a butter. I'm David Shannabrook. I'm on the meeting for the Cooleyville Road.
No. There's another David that I see.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes,
I can hear you now.
David Holmes, are you in a
Yes.
butter?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Would you like to speak about this?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I am, I guess, the only neighbor who is directly across the street from this house. And I object to going higher, frankly. I support them doing whatever renovations, rebuilds they want, but they are, to the people who did not get a chance to visit this house is in a block of houses. There's very lightly spaced houses, generally small 1-story houses as you come down our road. Then you get into a series of about 4 houses that have been renovated or largely rebuilt, some more successfully than others. And virtually all 4 or 5 of them have been allowed to increase by another story. Then you get to this block of houses, which is Susan, Glenn, the house in question, and Karen's house, that are all very close together. The house that we're talking about right now is severely limited in the expansion that they can do. They can't go 1 foot closer to their neighbors on either side. I don't think that they can go 1 foot closer to the lake or to the road, given the restrictions for the septic system that they want to put in and the well that they want to put in. So I really understand their desire to go higher. My problem is these are 4 houses that are closer together than any other houses in the road. Susan's house has already been allowed to add that 2nd story. I was not aware of it. I would have objected, but I guess I'm just outside that boundary. From my house, she's the furthest in this block of 4 houses. After Susan's house, there's Glenn's house, which is also below road level, but a 1-story house. So right now it's going to be dwarfed by this project because their house, the house in question, is seriously, it's as close as 2 houses can be in this area. I don't think they're 10 feet apart. And I don't think they're 10 feet away from Karen's house on the other side either, maybe 8 feet. My concern is that if this house is allowed to go higher, and if Glenn's house ever sells and his house is allowed to go higher, this is going to create a large block. It's going to block out the lake for everyone that's on the other side of the road. And that's really myself, Marty, and Steven's house. And Steven doesn't live there, he rents it. So I understand that if he's not all that concerned, at least not at the time. But my biggest concern is that Glenn and Tony are snowbirds. They live in Arizona most of the time. They only come out in the summer. So I understand they're not all that concerned right now, but I'm afraid that when they decide to sell their house, then it's going to be difficult for this board to deny their house also to go a second story, which undoubtedly will be in the buyer's plan, because their house is very, very small, and it's going to be severely dwarfed by these two-story houses on either side. I don't want to get in the way of them doing a project. I hope that they are able to complete their project. I would just like them to not block out the view of the lake for the people that are on this side of the street. It's not just the 5 feet higher at the peak, because the peak, right now, the house has a fairly steep pitch, and the peak is not all that, doesn't block that much of the lake the way it is now because it's a steep pitch. What they want to do is going to turn this into a box. It's going to be 5 foot higher at the peak, but it's going to be a good 10 or 12 feet higher at the eaves, which is they're going to be blocking out a lot more view than I think that they're willing to face up to. If you come over to my side of the house, you'd see that this project with their mock-up will block a significant part of my view. In fact, all of my view. Right now I can see the state beach from my house. I will no longer be able to see that. My only question is that if not for the consideration of the neighbors, if neighbors object, then I'm not sure why we have this regulation that you need to get a special permit to go higher. I would think that that restriction is there to protect the neighborhood and to protect the neighbors between the lake. If this house is between the lake and other neighbors and you want to go higher and the neighbor objects, I believe that that would be the reason why we have this rule and this necessity for a special permit. And I just would like to voice my objection and have that registered.
Okay.
And that's all.
All right. Can I just to clarify, just so I understand the nature of your objection, you're saying it's not necessarily the height that bothers you in terms of the peak part of it. It's what's beside the peak as you go toward the peak. Is just so I understand what you're saying. Is that correct?
I mean, to some extent, if they kept the same pitch without dormers, and without a change in the angle, the pitch of the roof, it wouldn't be nearly as objectionable. What they're doing now is going from this, where you can see my forehead, to this, where you can't see any of me. You know what I mean?
Okay, I understand.
And even when it's like this, you can see my forehead and my ears. If they went up that much, that's not that bad. This is bad.
Okay.
This, and it's
All right.
not the first house in this block that's put in a second story with a low pitch. I understand people want the room, but this neighborhood, I've lived here for 30 years, and this neighborhood used to be entirely one-story cottages, and the entire neighborhood is changing. I know that the lake is changing. There's been a lot of investment, a lot of very large houses put in around the lake. But the slow process, house by house, getting bigger and higher is completely changing the character of the entire lake, if you ask me.
Okay. Turning to Jeff and Andy and Herb, do you have any questions for David? Any of the three of you have any questions for David? No, no.
So David, you, as I understand it, your home is the home directly across.
Not directly across. I'm directly across from Karen.
So you're not directly across from Stephen, the M's house.
No, Marty is directly across. I'm next door to Marty.
So Marty is the white house with the very big sun. No.
That's Steve's house that he's been renting for a good, I don't know, 5 or 10 years. Marty is the very large, tall, brown house directly across the street.
So you're looking at.
I'm the smaller blue, the one-story blue house.
So you're several houses down. So your view to the lake is not.
I'm not several houses. I'm next door to the house that's directly across.
Okay, but if you look directly out of your house.
Yes.
Do you see the M's house?
Yes.
You do.
Not directly across.
Not directly across from them.
No, no, about, I don't know.
So when you look directly out of your house, you're seeing their house a little bit off to the left.
That's correct.
So you're not getting the full house in front of you.
No.
So you're not getting this effect directly at you, but you're getting this effect.
That's correct. That effect is between me and my view of the beach.
I see.
Which
you're
is
looking
why,
to the left towards the beach.
Yeah.
You'd be looking, yeah, but not directly across.
No.
Okay, Jeff, go ahead.
I explored around today, and when you're on the second tier on the west side of Lake Drive, you get your views from the lake, a full panoply of views from left to right. Sometimes you don't get any views straight ahead. You get your view looking to the left, get it looking to the right. It's, you know, when you're on the second tier, you take what you can get. So just because Mr. Holmes is not directly across, I mean, this may be, you know, right across that house is where he gets his view of the lake. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but you can see the lake from many different perspectives when you're on the second tier, not just straight across.
Oh, this is not going to block every inch of lake for me to be able to see. No, definitely no. It's a big lake.
It's primarily blocking a beach view, I think you said, is that right?
It's difficult for me to describe exactly why I object to this. It's not just the view, it's the grouping of these 4 houses. They're so close together. They're closer together than any other houses on this entire road, as far as I know. There's some other parts of the lake where they have houses close together on the Lakeview Road, for instance. But those houses have all remained one-story cottages. My problem is when we get 4 houses that are very close together, and one of them has already been allowed to be turned into a 2-story house. I'm concerned about this entire 4 houses ending up being a wall that stops out my side of the lake from having any view at all.
Okay. Steve or Megan, do you have any questions for David Holmes?
Oops.
Where'd they
go?
Sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
All right, Steve or Megan, Do you have any questions for David Holmes?
I don't know, it's a question or, well.
Or a comment.
Okay, sure. I understand, I mean, we're not denying that raising the structure will not impact anything. It definitely impacts things. We went for trying to do the minimum impact for our purposes, but also across the street from David, there's a vacant lot too. So what he did acknowledge that he's not losing full view because of us, but he will lose some, but he still has a vacant lot across the street from him, right to the lake too, which he enjoys views.
And this whole development was planned in the 30s as the Great Pines development, and all the lots were similarly 40 feet wide. Some people just over time have purchased multiple lots, hence larger homes being constructed. But all of our deeds have the Great Pines development, and the lot across the street from Mr. Holmes' house is a beach for the benefit of all the people that live within this area. So there's no reason to believe that would ever be improved.
You all have easement rights to that beach? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you look at the map, it's between 34 and 36. There's a beach that's, I think, 40 feet wide that is unimproved, that is directly in front of Mr. Holmes' house.
Okay.
Facing the lake.
All right.
So he will have unfettered views until perpetuity.
And what's the width of that, approximate width?
I believe it's 40 feet.
Wide. So
Which
it
is
would have been
consistent with.
It would have been another building lot, but for this easement that you all have there, this access easement. Is that correct? David, do you want to say anything? David Holmes, do you want to say anything in response to what they said or any of the questions that have been asked you?
I didn't hear any questions. Was there a question?
No, well, the questions were by the members, but I mean, do you want to say anything else? Let me ask you that.
I would only like to say that if you visit the site, we saw a dog.
I have. Most of us have. Yes.
If you visit the site, you would see that I would think that they, other than having a full basement plus 2 floors, if they would model their build, their design to be somewhere along the same lines as Karen's design, which was done less than 10 years ago, I think. I think that they could get everything that they wanted to have and still remain in the character of the neighborhood.
She benefited from a special permit as well to expand the width of the home. So it's the same process.
That's untrue. Karen did not expand the width of her home.
Prior owner did.
Wait a minute,
No.
who's talking? Who's talking?
No, he did not.
Who's talking? Who was speaking? Who just said that?
Karen is speaking about Karen's property.
Yeah, there was
Okay.
no special.
I don't see you,
Is
Karen.
it Katie or is it Karen?
Karen, what's your last name, Karen?
Karen Keegan.
Okay, again, I don't see you. Are you on? Does everybody else see her?
No,
She's
see
a black
Karen.
box.
Yeah.
You can see my name, Karen, hopefully.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes.
But I just wanted to correct that. We had no special permits or.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Your house benefited from it before you purchased it.
No, it did
Yeah.
not.
Book 2783, page 196, there's a special permit for 34 Lake Drive to expand the deck with railing, and expand towards the road to go encroach towards the road. A bedroom and kitchen extension is recorded with the county.
What year is that?
1993. It was recorded 6/16/93.
That was not done. It may have been recorded, it may have been requested, it was not done.
Okay.
Yeah, there's only one bedroom on the first
That house
floor.
has been the same for 35 years. That's as long as I've been here.
Okay, I'm not trying to argue. I was just going on what I saw in the registry of deeds
Okay,
for special permit approval.
let's not get into any side conversations. Karen, do you want to speak generally about this beyond what you already said?
Other than it wasn't me, we bought in 2012, Roy and I, and we had no special permits to do anything. The deck was there, the side deck walkway was there. It was 2 bedrooms on the first floor. The second floor is a basement, and a lake room. And yeah, that's all I have to offer there.
The question that I'm asking though is how you feel about the project that Steve and Megan are proposing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I did have a question.
Go ahead.
What's the definition of existing footprint with regard to their place?
Well, I have my opinion, but I'm going to ask Jeff to give his opinion first.
Probably exterior boundaries. I'm not sure if we define it in the zoning. I'll see. No, we don't define it, but footprint is generally the furthest extent of the structure, not necessarily including roof overhangs. It's usually marked by the foundation, and then the things that are above it extend a little bit more, but it's generally the foundation that's considered the footprint.
Yeah.
Okay, so not the stairs on one side and the little shed that they just put up on the other side. That's not a part of the current footprint.
No, I think the structure is defined in the bylaw, and it talks about a static construction of a building materials affixed to the ground. So I think my view of the footprint is what is affixed to the ground and that main part of the house that they're trying to extend either up or out by the porch. So that's what I think the footprint is, in my opinion.
And that's, I just found out tonight that 21 feet is the width of it. I didn't realize that before. That's the current width, 21 feet.
Sorry if I just can answer that question. It's 23 feet wide and 31 deep.
Karen, do you have anything else you would like to say?
So you're not coming any closer, Steve and Megan, right? I mean, you're not extending this whole house closer to our place.
No.
No, we're not going. Not going any wider. Any wider.
Any wider? Okay, thanks. I appreciate that clarity.
Okay.
And the 5 feet out. Oh, whoops! And the 5 feet out in the front. That's probably the part of the stairs you're talking about, because we will lose some view, but we're not interested in, you know. I just want to make sure it's not going to be going out any further, like 10 feet, or it's definitely
It's 8 feet. It's 8 feet. It's going to come in a little bit on the sides. The porch you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll come in a little on the sides just so it doesn't look funny, and it'll go out 8 feet. So it's about where the stairs end right now is where the porch will end.
Where it will end. Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. Are there any other abutters here besides the ones who've already spoken? Okay. Don't hear any other abutters here, and there's no one by phone here. Okay. My members, Herb, Andy, Jeff, do any of you have any questions, any further or final questions for any abutters or for the applicants?
I do not.
Okay, Herb. Is Jeff here? Jeff, are you here? I guess Jeff left momentarily.
His name is there, but
I see his name. Okay, well, I don't know where he went. So Well, it's hard to have a discussion without him here, but the question that I have now is whether or not we as a board, at least we do have quorum with the three of us here, whether or not we are ready to have any discussions, or do we need any further information? Are we ready to have preliminary discussions without making any final decisions right now?
So I think I am ready. I wonder if maybe we want to give Jeff a minute or two to see if he is maybe having a technical difficulty and returns.
Yeah, let me, I definitely think that's important. Let me see if I can.
He's back.
There he is.
All right, Jeff, the question that I just asked when you were temporarily gone, I'm hearing that, unless you have a different position, that none of the board members have any further questions of the applicants or any of the abutters. The question I posed when you were gone is whether or not we feel as a board we need any further information. We have the plans, we have the mock-up. Do we need any further information, or are we ready now to have some preliminary discussions about how we feel about this application without making any decisions? I think our custom is not to make any decisions. Go ahead, Jeff.
I don't know. I have 5 concerns with this proposal.
Go ahead.
And I don't want to state how I would vote. However, I'll say what they are. And the first is that and many of them mirror what Mr. Holmes said. The side setbacks on those structures down there are minimal. I mean, 3 or 4 feet on each house, maybe for a total of 7 or 8 or 9 feet between structures. So these 4 houses are all very close together. So that's the first concern. The second is that the height of the flanking dwellings on either side is already lower than this structure. This is already the highest of the 3 structures. And this proposal would make it even higher, standing out even more from the 2 that are on either side. Number 3, if this house were increased in height and then the other ones on either side were increased in height, what it would essentially amount to is a wall of structures at the shoreline, sort of sealing off the road and the people on the west side of the road from the lake. And that's what happens. We grant one of these, and then a few years later, the next neighbor comes in and said, well, you gave it to this one, so we need it. And then the other one comes in and we need it. And pretty soon we have a wall of structures right at the shoreline. Fourth, I'm concerned about defoliation of the lake watershed. With each one of these proposals, we defoliate the lake watershed. We take trees out. We clear more. We create large septic systems. And this is essentially reducing the vegetation and the root systems in the watershed, which are essential to water quality. And 5, I feel that lakefront structures have an inherent advantage of direct access to the lake and a direct view of the lake, and don't necessarily have a hardship as much as some of the other houses that are farther back that have to look over the houses on the lakeshore. So I'm more inclined to grant height exemptions to houses that are back, that need to get up a little bit to see over the ones that are by the lakeshore. And I think lakefront houses have have enough of an advantage to where we don't necessarily have to grant these huge enlargements. So that's the way I'm feeling tonight.
Okay. Let me ask you, Jeff, a technical question in terms of your opinion. When we look at this on the section C on 6.1-3, we must find that the reconstruction, the extension, the structural change, the major exterior alteration or expansion is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming structure. So that are your arguments focused right on that, what I just said, that criteria?
They are.
Okay. And the fact that the applicant feels that he meets all 9 criteria in the under section 9 of granting special permits, is that relevant to you?
It says shall not be required to consider the special permit review criteria contained in 9.2-2.
Right.
This was specifically designed not to consider those criteria, but to consider direct impacts on the neighborhood.
Not required to consider. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, I would say that, you know, if they meet all those criteria and make a case of that, it could be helpful as applied to the criteria that we're supposed to be considering.
Right. And so if they met all of those 9 criteria that we're not required to, but we may consider, in your opinion, would that help them meet this other criteria that there's no question we have to make a finding that it's not, that this expansion, that this reconstruction is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming structure? Because I'm thinking that the criteria in section 9 are more harsh, are more difficult to meet. Are they not? Or am I misreading that? And I know you're one of the drafters of this, so I'm deferring to you, Jeff, on this.
I think we can consider those criteria if we wish individually. I think each of us have to make our own decision. And you know, I'm focusing on the criteria that I'm supposed to be focusing on.
Yep. Okay. So are you saying that, this way I understand it, that you're feeling that this expansion, this change, largely because of the height, may be more detrimental? Is that what you're saying? That's what I'm trying to get to.
It may be. I don't have an issue with reconstructing and improving the house or the deck, especially since the deck stays within the it doesn't increase the side setback. It stays within it, or else it's narrower, and it's within the lake setback. So I think that portion of it is fine, but it's mostly that height.
And when we go back to David Holmes' concern, and David, please participate if I'm misstating you. It seems that David was more concerned not so much with the peak in and of itself, but the fact that in addition to the peak, there's these extensions on the side. David, am I saying that correctly, Dave, or not?
I think what I was trying to get across was that to think of this as just a raising of the peak 5 feet is misleading. It's not the roof. It's not the original roof line being raised 5 feet. It's the change in pitch, which means that although at the peak, it'll be 5 feet higher. At the eaves, it'll be more like 10 or 12 feet higher. It'll be blocking a lot more from the other side of the neighbors than you would think by just going 5 feet higher. And my only other question was, when you're talking about these criterion about whether or not it's detrimental or in keeping with the neighborhood, how is that determined? Is that just a matter of opinion?
Well, obviously one of the ways we determine it is by trying to understand the perspectives of the neighborhood, which is why we have a public hearing to get a broad perspective of the neighborhood, including your perspective. And that's, if it's not, I mean, for example, if every single person, including you, were 100% supportive of this, I think the argument is somehow not more detrimental, okay? But obviously you do have a concern, so that weighs the other way to some extent. So that's how I do it. Now, Jeff and Andy and Herb might see it a little differently than I do. That's why we have to have a vote of within quorum, and you have to agree.
Well, I would just like to second Jeff's comments when he talked about the different considerations for people who are working on houses that are right on the lake side, and they're significantly different considerations and view of the neighborhood than all of us who are removed from the lakeside across the street, both directly across the street and further back.
Okay, once upon a time, in a very similar application, there was this kind of disagreement about how we apply the criteria and whether it is or isn't more substantially detrimental or not. And what happened in some other cases on the lake is, as a condition of granting it, we required the owners, the builders, the contractors to lessen to some extent that square. In other words, I think in some of the other houses, they proposed this type of structure, but maybe we lowered the height by a foot and we brought it in just a little bit so that these rooms on that second floor are not full rooms. I mean, they're in terms of how the dormers are. So let me ask you, builders, owners, can you envision any way, looking at this structure, that you could maybe lower the peak a foot and maybe lower the square look and come in more as a peak? Is that a possibility? Have you thought about that?
Sorry, who are you asking that to?
Us.
You.
Us. Thank you. Sorry.
We just want to make
I'm
sure we
asking-
follow
I'm asking
protocol.
you.
I didn't want to
I'm
jump
asking
on
you, is there any modifications you can make, given the comments that David Holmes just made and Jeff Lacey just made?
Yeah.
And given the history that I have just provided to you, in another case, we made them lower it by a foot. And
Yeah, we
made
did our diligence with other cases around the lake, and that's why we purposely went to the 26.5 feet. We're
Yeah.
familiar with a case on Shore Drive that is similar situation, and we just wanted to kind of nip it in the bud and just say, hey, we know we can ask to 28 feet, but this is, we can live with this and still have a usable structure. And for the record, we aren't impacting the side setbacks. They're consistent with the existing structure. So the setbacks aren't changing at all. So, I mean, that's really, we were trying to just not beat around the bush and waste people's time. We did research on other properties, and that's why we had a plan designed at 26.5 feet that we're not asking to go all the way up.
Yeah, because I was thinking back to that case on Shore Drive myself. That was sort of a reminiscent of this moment.
And so we're respectfully requesting to have what we've submitted considered, just in light of the fact that we've done a lot of research and we do feel that this will respect the neighborhood.
This again, I'm just having a conversation with you because we like to resolve these if we can. If the height remained the same, but you crunched that, can you imagine any way you can crunch that that kind of side expansion to meet?
There's no side expansion. That's what I was just clarifying. There's
No, the dormers, he's asking.
No, I'm talking about the dormers because I think that Dave is saying, and Jeff
And the
is
pitch.
saying, is the pitch. If the pitch were.
So if we came down 6 inches,
yeah, I mean, if it came down to some extent, is there any height that you can come down? Whether it's 6 inches
there's a lot
or a
to,
foot?
There's a lot of engineering involved.
Yeah.
for minimum size of bedrooms and ceiling heights and stuff. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff to take into account with all that. But I mean,
We had, at the last time, when we went through this, we had a building contractor as a member of the board, and he kind of said, this is how you could do it, and everyone agreed, and it was done.
I mean, I could.
Right, we read all the minutes on that and we tried to get
Oh,
ahead
you looked at that, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to get ahead of that and did our research. I mean, we've really designed the home to be where it is and spent a lot of time and energy trying to get what we can, because you have to have a certain height to have it be a legal bedroom. And we're already pushing up against that height requirement.
I mean, we could.
Do you know what that is? That height requirement is? Do you know what that is?
There's like a certain percentage of the room that has to be.
Yeah, a certain percentage has to be over a certain
7 feet.
foot or something. There's
So
some.
people can walk around rather than.
Yeah,
Right.
so you can't just like jam in a bunch of rooms.
It's like you can't create a room that's a tent essentially.
Right.
I mean, we can probably shave like half a foot off of that and still have something that we can have usable, but it just like cutting it down by like 4 feet or something just isn't going to make that usable for where we are.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And like Megan stated, we also didn't, if we knew that it was going to be like a bartering thing, we would have just came in at 28 feet and then tried to get down to 26 and a half. That's why
I'm just throwing something out there to see what we can. Jeff, can you imagine if we approve this with conditions, what those conditions might look like?
Yeah, keep the original height of the structure, no dormers. But we can't make conditions like that. I don't think. I mean, you're approving a set of plans that show one thing, but then you're conditioning it to be a whole different thing, and you don't even have plans that show that, or you don't even know if it's feasible. I think if they want to vote, they should get a vote, and then they go from there.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't want to condition it so extensively to just change the whole proposal.
right. Well, let me ask you, Jeff. It's a special permit. It has to be unanimous, doesn't it?
Correct. 3 out of 3.
Yeah.
I had a question about
Go ahead.
rebuilding, right? So this is just totally things that are outside of the purview of the ZBA, but rebuilding.
Yep.
If somebody wanted to rebuild on this site without seeking a special permit, going within the same footprint, you could go up to like a 21.5-foot flat roofed structure. Is that right? Without special permit approval.
Jeff, what do you say about that?
Hold on, I'm looking.
I'm just trying to sort of ascertain where, the ZBA starts and just the regular building permit process.
I mean, I want to say this: if they build within the structure exactly, they wouldn't need a special permit. I think the building inspector would just give them.
Exactly, and I think that it's the maximum height. I guess is what I'm saying is that was looked at. So it's not the peak. Yeah.
And of course, obviously, the bylaws allow up to 28 feet around the lake, 35 feet for the rest of the town. We understand that. I think the nature of a special permit is, you know, they have a right, absolute right, without going to the ZBA, just to rebuild within the footprint. But if they're going to change it or expand, and obviously raising the roof is, they need the special permit, is when we have to apply that balancing test and that criteria that's in 6.1-3, section C. Herb, do you have an opinion here?
Well, I think it comes down to who is going to make the determination of what's significantly detrimental to the neighborhood is.
I think we are. After
I'm just saying.
Yeah, we make that decision based on the evidence that we have before us, and that includes the application and the letters and the design, and includes the comments of the abutters, all of the abutters, those all that were in favor, and also David Holmes. It's applying the criteria, especially that criteria, 6.1-3, section C. We can look at, if we want to, the other criteria that may even be more stringent that they believe they meet. And then we, as a board, see if we can develop a unanimous consensus or not. You know, and Jeff, I think is correct that if one of us say no out of three, it's denied. But go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so go ahead.
There was a question a few minutes back about if they didn't increase the height. I believe they could do it by right.
Yeah,
If
so
they
they
didn't
could,
increase-
yeah.
It's D in that section, and if they don't comply with the setback requirements, which they can't, then the proposed changes satisfy the following condition: do not decrease the distance between any lot line and the nearest point of the structure. So if they kept it within the footprint, they'd meet that.
Yeah.
The proposed alterations do not violate or prevent compliance with any other applicable laws or regulations. I assume that they could meet that. The catch is, it says the highest point of the roof line of these changes will be no higher than the highest point of the roof line of the existing structure. So that's where it becomes a special permit and not by right.
Yeah.
That's consistent with our understanding.
Yes, yes. Because the only, I guess, question I have for Jeff is, I'm sort of thinking, because that Shore Drive permit comes to mind, and so I think the main difference I sort of see between these is it the distance the structures are to one another, sort of how the distance between the structures that's the main difference that you see.
I see a number of things at the lake. We've been doing this for a while, and I see disturbing trends at the lake. I see houses going up on the shoreline, which creates a ripple effect back to the second and third tiers, and causes those people to then have to increase their house height to maintain some view of the lake. And to me, the houses on the shore, if they're 1 or 1.5 story, because of their access and their visibility to the lake, they could stay that way. Because raising the height of those houses closest to the lake creates a lot of problems, and especially when they're all so close together, like in this instance.
What are the problems? I mean, topography, we're addressing drainage issues with our order of conditions with the Conservation Commission. We're installing all sorts of plants to absorb. We're a drainage solution. We're taking down, it'll be 5 very large pines that were just very dangerous. And we're improving a septic system that was arguably installed before I was born, well before I was born. So a lot of the improvements, I would argue, you don't see at these houses because there's a lot of infrastructure that's being upgraded for homes that were built between the 30s and the 50s that really need to be, and to really justify the cost of the infrastructure, I think folks are maximizing what they can with their homes. I mean, we're going to be spending a considerable amount of our budget on a septic system, a well, drainage, and proper, things so Karen's lot and Glenn and Tony's lot don't get sacked with water. I mean, a lot of infrastructure that you're not going to see. And we're asking to be able to really just maximize the house. I mean, I understand. I mean, some people have built houses that are not something that you want to write home about, I guess, said nicely. But I mean, I don't really want to be put to task for mistakes that other folks have made. We're trying to build something that will fit in the surroundings. Yes, they'll be higher, but the current structure is already higher. I don't think it bothers people. It won't look higher because the grade's going to be reset in line with the other two homes. So it's not going to stick out. Yes, there'll be dormers. I recognize David's concern, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're really improving a structure that hasn't been improved since 1935.
And we also have, there's 8.5 feet. Well, it's not a lot, but we have 8.5 feet on each side of the house from the house to the lot line. So that is close, but it's not the 4 feet.
We're not trying to build a monstrosity that looks hideous. I mean, we're trying to make something look like it did before and be able to maximize our use. We have 2 small kids and be able to have it be done for 80 years. No tight tank that leaks. People have tight tanks that leak. No pump up septic that could leak. Like, this is just a tried and true infrastructure with a pretty modest home.
Because, I guess the thing that I'm trying to tease out, is I understand some of the development things that have gone around in the lake, but say the difference between this and the Shore Drive permit that we had, because I sort of recall that on that side, this was a house that was going up on Shore Drive and it was higher than the properties around it. And so I'm trying to sort of tease out what the differences are between this situation and that situation.
Well, yeah, so directly behind the Shore Drive property actually had a similar structure than our abutter, Marty Ostrowski, with a very large home that was arguably deeply impacted by their home. I mean, Marty hasn't raised any issues. His home is very high. Will he be impacted? I would say yes, marginally, but he has it's hard to decipher. I mean, the house is just substantially higher. It starts out higher on the other side of the street, and then it's at least 1.5 stories. So I believe, in my understanding of what I read about Shore Drive, that the abutter directly behind is the one who raised concern and requested it being dropped. So we don't have that situation here. And then to the extent in which they dropped their home is in line with what we're proposing. So that's why we thought it'd be, there's clearly precedent that people have pushed back on the height. And so we thought it'd be best to just start there. And, out of everyone's, time and energy, we can live there, and we'd like to stay there.
Yeah, sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
I just want to remind everyone that the zoning for the lake is still 90,000 square feet for a lot and 250 feet frontage. There are some reduced setbacks compared to other districts in town, but to have a single family dwelling in Shutesbury, that's what you need. And these tiny little lots don't nearly meet that. And, that's why we're doing this. Otherwise, if you had the area and you had the frontage and you can meet the setbacks, you run out and get a building permit and you don't deal with us. But these are exceptionally small lots that people are trying to put darn near full-size houses on and live in year-round and raise families in, when they really need 2 acres and 250 feet of frontage to do that.
Well, we don't live there year-round, but I mean, the house is going to be, I don't know what a definition of a large home is. It's not a large home. So I mean,
Do you know
People's
how many square?
garages are bigger than the house.
yeah,
Do you know how many square feet the proposed house will end up being?
it'll be
1,200 about.
Is the basement going to be a usable area, a dry usable area?
we hope that we'll be able to have
We hope it'll be usable.
washer and dryer and stuff down there and
So
storage.
it's a walkout under the deck? Or
Yeah.
something like that? Okay.
As chair, I'd like to see if we can get together to satisfy all the parties. David, is there any further comments that you may have here about?
I'll tell you,
the
I can't say this any better than Jeff has. Everything that he said is exactly the way that I feel.
Okay.
These tiny lots with full-size houses, it's just ruining the lake.
Okay. Herb, do you have any comments?
This lake, the character of the lake was small, one-story cottages. It was a beautiful thing. This is the way that it all was when I moved here 35 years ago. With every McMansion that goes up around this lake, and I'm not saying that's what you're trying to build, but compared to with this lot size that you've got, you're building the absolute largest possible structure for that lot size. And I understand why you want to do it. Everybody wants to have enough space. Everybody wants to have room for a family, but it just doesn't fit, in my opinion.
Herb, any comments?
Well, the only comment I can make is a personal observation, if that counts for anything, from an alternate member. I'm not a voting member at this point, I'm an alternate member. I rode my bike down that road. In fact, I rode my bike up to the White House across the way, hoping that no one would be there and think that I was trying to rob them. And I looked out across the way from that house. I stood there, specifically looking to see how much that pitch would impact the view, keeping that in mind. And I personally did not get the sense, looking across it, that people directly across would be impacted whatsoever. That was my observation. And that was from a level, me standing in front of the house, below the actual highest level of that house. That's just my personal observation. And maybe we need to all go out there.
I'd like to invite you over to my house.
Okay, I think that's probably what we should do, is take a look from
maybe
different
that's what we
perspectives.
should do. Maybe that's what we should do.
Because my perspective was from directly across the street. And I
Right,
didn't
but
go down to every other view.
You were on the side of the house where the mock-up didn't block any further. The mock-up is on the front of the house, on the side from what you were observing.
Yes.
So I don't think you got the full picture.
Okay.
That
I
you
mean,
would
I'm just
get from-
saying I was directly across at the White House and looked over just to see how much impact there would be. And I didn't sense there was any, but that was just viewing directly across, not from the side.
In one other case we had, that's exactly what we did do. When one of the neighbors expressed a concern, the neighbor invited us to their home. We checked it out. We took photos. We actually blew up the photos. We put them on a computer. We all had a better sense. You know, I don't.
Yeah, because I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, all I was going to say is I had the same sense that Herb had, but I didn't view it, David, from your house. And
I'd welcome a visit.
Okay. I mean, we could do that. I mean, that's a possibility that we could do that. We could all gather at your place at some specific time, some afternoon, and you know, including the applicants, and we can look ourselves. We can take photographs. Would you allow us to take photographs from your?
Absolutely.
Right.
Certainly.
So I
I'd
would
like to give
to-
you a tour of the neighborhood.
Okay, I mean, that's appropriate. It's appropriate. We'd have to be masked, obviously, social distance and all that stuff, but, I mean, how does the board feel about continuing this so that we have another view? Go ahead, Jeff.
Is that just a site visit that doesn't need posting, or is that a continuation of the public hearing that we have? to post?
Well, you know, we didn't close, in my opinion, we are still in an investigatory, we're in an investigatory function with fact gathering. That's what we're doing right now. And one of the questions I posed, and you were out of the room when I posed it, is there any other information that we need? And I think, given the conversation and my feelings, Herb's feelings, what Andy expressed, Dave's invitation, your concerns, Jeff, I think maybe there is more information that we need, and that more information is to, for all of us, to get a sense of this project. You know, Dave has powerfully put forth his arguments to look at it from Dave's perspective. Dave, do you have a second floor in your home? Okay, so we would just be basically in your front yard or in your stairway area, essentially, and we wouldn't go into your home. There'd be no need to go into your home, and we would take a view. We would take pictures from toward that, toward the structure, and we'd take other pictures maybe directly across the street from you is the beach, as I understand it. And we'd take pictures, you know, left and straight and right and all around. We'd take 4, 5, 6, half a dozen photographs or so. And I know with Andy here, we have the ability to blow them up and then to continue this hearing to, you know, we take a view together, you know, separated, at least 6 feet apart and masked. And, you know, we look at there, and there, and we meet again as we decide tonight when we will meet again, a few weeks. Then maybe at that point in time, we come to the conclusion that we don't need any more facts, and we move into the deliberation section. Go ahead.
This is Tessa, the land use clerk. I just have a quick comment. Jeff Lacy, you might be able to speak to this more appropriately for the zoning board. I know for the Conservation Commission that when the entire commission meets, even if it's for a site visit, then that has to be a posted meeting. So
There's no question about that. If we meet as a quorum, we have to post it, but we'll do that. Yeah, if we meet as a quorum, that's true. But unless we go separately, and
I will note that I will not be able to attend with you all. I've got some particular circumstances I have to remain particularly socially distanced, so I will probably be going out separately from you all, and I will view the pictures that are taken, but I won't be able to come,
okay,
unfortunately,
well,
jointly with everyone.
How about this, then? If we don't meet as a quorum, right? And, you know, I'm happy, Dave, it might be more inconvenient. David, it might be more inconvenient for you, but if one at a time of the 4 of us could do that.
Anybody who wants to come out one at a time or in a group, I'm here all the time. I'm still in quarantine.
Okay.
Just give me a call anytime.
So,
or if you're riding your bike by, just stop by.
Okay. So
what's your number?
do that.
David,
Yeah, what's your number?
367.
Yep.
9386.
So let me just make this proposal, now that we have Dave's telephone number, that each of the 4 of us call Dave within X amount of time. We'll decide that what X amount of time is, but we, you know, whether it's a week or 2, and I mean, I can't imagine I would be spending more than 15 minutes there at most. And Dave would point over here, and I'd take a few photographs and send them to Andy, and we can all do that. Jeff, how do you feel about that? Go ahead.
I feel like we can do that, but we have to be careful that we don't, each of us have sort of a serial dialogue and deliberation with David
No, none,
outside of the public hearing.
none,
We
none.
essentially just, go to his property and take a look, but we don't take any additional testimony from David, because we're not posted. And,
Yeah. Yeah, my opinion is David would meet us at a certain time, each of the four of us individually. And then he would, and I would say, show me. And he would, what you want me to see. And he would point over there, over there, over there, over there. And he might point 6 places for me. And I might get my cell phone and take 6 photographs, say thank you, and I'm on my way. That's what I propose. And then if I take 6 photographs and Herb takes 6 photographs and Jeff, you do, and Andy, you won't go at all, Andy, or you'll.
So I will, I'm afraid I'm sort of in a situation where I will probably have to, I'm afraid, David, drive up to your house, look for my car, but not get out. And I will be reliant then on the photographs provided by some of the other committee members. But I won't be able to get out.
Okay. Can we all agree on that? We will do that. It sounds like we can do that.
And maybe then I could review at this next meeting. I don't think we should share them outside of the meeting, but when the next meeting comes, I would love to review them, the photos that were taken with everyone and the rest of the group.
Okay.
Because I believe this is, this proposal that you're making sounds very similar to the one we had when we went to 67 Shore Drive. When that happened, this was the thing where we went across the street, we looked at the impacts, took some photographs, and then revisited the situation in light of that extra data collection.
Yes. But it would be, let's say I took 6 photographs, it would be okay for me to forward them to you before the meeting so that we can all have them at the meeting. You could show my 6 and Herb's 6 and Jeff's 6, and we can look at, 18 photographs. Is that okay with you, Andy, to do it that way?
I'm happy with that. As long as I just want to make sure that everyone who would want to see them at I think we should find a way to maybe post those photographs or something like that, just so that folks who were interested at the meeting would have a means of viewing what we were looking at and being involved in that part of the deliberative phase with us. So they would have access to those photographs as early as possible.
Let me ask you this. If there were 18, 21 photographs, would you be able to put them in a way that we could have an 18-minute or a 15-minute or 12-minute presentation? Could you do that?
Absolutely. I mean, they also could be, if folks wanted, they could be posted on our website for folks to view.
Okay.
If that's a desired.
And I wouldn't know how to do that, but if I gave 6 or 7 photographs to you, you'd be able to do that, correct?
I would just, and I think that could make it just so that everybody knows, there's a shared and common understanding of what we were looking at.
Absolutely. Okay.
Also, just saying that it would be helpful when you email those pictures to state what direction they were taken in.
Okay.
So that you can match up.
Okay.
Pictures.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a compass. And we can all come. I assume we all have compasses. We could just. What David? When we look straight out from your house, what are we looking at? What south, northeast, south, or west?
We're looking basically north. Northeast.
Okay, so we'll straight out's northeast, then we go to the left a little bit, to the right a little bit, and we get the whole panoramic, including the mock-up of the home of this proposed structure by Steve and Megan. And we had 15, 20 photographs. It'd probably have a good shared sense, and the public would have a shared sense if they would have come to our next meeting, which of course will be appropriately posted and as we need to do it in these virtual times. So it sounds like we're in consensus now. The only fine tuning of this is by what date. So let's see if we could, all of us right now, agree on the next meeting date, and then obviously, before that next meeting date will be the date that each of us individually meet David. So Jeff, what do you have to say?
I think first we have to ascertain the applicant's willingness to continue the public hearing.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming that I made that assumption. Are you willing to continue the public hearing, applicants?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, so
Jeff Lacy, at this time, do we need to fill out that form?
That's what we
Well-
normally do, and then
we have to get the date first. We need to get the date first.
Okay.
So let's get that date. All right, so the applicants are willing, the board is willing. So when should we have the next meeting? I'm thinking maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. You know, we're gonna do this by writing, so the timeline's not gonna be an issue. I'm thinking 2 or 3 weeks. That gives us plenty of time to call David and you know, go there for our 10, 15 minutes, take photographs, not talk to David except show us north and east and south and west, and that's it.
May I make a
go ahead.
request?
Yes.
And I don't know if this is possible, but I'm going to have a time when from October 15th and on where I'm not readily available for a while. And so if there's any way we could have it before October 15th, that would be just amazing. Or else the other option is also an excellent option, which is Herb is here, and I could be, you know, I could be away, but I will probably be from October 15th to early November, not available.
Okay. I don't see any reason why we can't continue this meeting to a time before October 15th.
13th or 14th works.
The 14th, hold on, let me see what that is.
The 12th would be Columbus Day, so that doesn't work.
October 14th at 7 o'clock would work for me. Does it work for you, Andy?
That's all good by me.
Okay.
Oh, good.
What the planning board is doing?
Planning board would normally meet on the 12th, but I don't know what Deacon is going to do. Don't know yet. He might try for the 13th, or he might try for the 19th.
Well, the 14th works for me. It sounds like it works for all of us.
Yep.
Okay, so Tessa, why don't you start the process of well, I guess Andy has to put it on the board, and
I'll get this up right here for us here. So if you'll bear with me for 1 minute, I'll get this ready for us, and then we can have a virtual signing ceremony together if that's okay. So we're continuing this to 10/14/2020.
yeah, and we're still in the fact gathering stage. We're still in the investigatory stage, the fact gathering stage. We are there now. We will be gathering facts sometime between now and that time, and we will each individually, three of us, that is Herb and Jeff and myself, will go to Dave's house, spend 5 minutes to 15 minutes there taking photographs, and all of us will forward those photographs to Andy, and I may give 6 or 7, and I will say from what direction I'm looking. Okay, so I see that Andy now has this on the board.
Let's see here. Let's see if this will let me.
And are you gonna type my name? How are you gonna do
I
this?
am. Let's see if my fill-in sign up. You'll have to bear with me for a second. Here we are in truly. There we go. All right. There's that, and let's see if this will work here. So, the zoning board chair is. Let's see here.
Charles with a C. H-A-R-L-E-S, okay, the capital M-A-R-E, okay, and you have the date.
Today is 9/30/2020, and applicants, may I have your permission to type your names in here to extend this hearing to 10/14?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Could someone remind me of how this was originally noticed? I just want to make sure that did both of you apply for this notice?
I think it's Stephen and Megan.
Yes.
They're both applicants, yes.
Hey, there's an A.
Yeah, sorry. It's MEA.
MEA.
GHEN.
GHN, perfect. Is that right?
MIK. Oh, no, you did that right. And then
MIK.
MIKOLAJCZUK. There you go.
That look good?
And
Yep.
the date
And
again,
then-
of course.
9/30/2020.
Okay.
And if you
and
could
then-
email that to me, Andy, once after the meeting's over.
I'll email it immediately
And then
after.
the town clerk, you can deliver it to the town clerk tomorrow. And, and I think you make sure you get a copy to me and a copy to the applicants too, okay?
Yep.
All right, let's go back to, okay, so we're agreed on that.
Thank you, Andy.
And then have the minutes reflect that we collectively agreed to continue this hearing, the fact gathering, the investigatory part of the hearing, that will still be in that part of the hearing when we reconvene on the 14th of October, Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, okay? And obviously that means, Tessa, before that time, you have to have minutes prepared of this meeting, so we can approve those minutes. Okay, all right, so I think I have David's phone number, and I will probably call you tomorrow, David. How do you, are you normally just home 9 to 5, or how does your phone, do you have cell phones, or is that just that one way to get in touch
Cell
with you?
phones? What are cell phones?
Okay.
I live in Shutesbury.
Okay.
David.
Yeah.
I can make it simple for me. How's Tuesday the 6th at 1 o'clock?
You're on.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Well, this might be Tuesday the 6th, that's the 6th of October, right? At 1 o'clock?
Yes. Yes.
Well, how about if I did also Tuesday the 6th? I can go at 1:30, or I can go at 11. What's good for you?
You said 1:30 or 11?
Yeah, because you're gonna go 1, you said, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna go 1.
Yeah.
We're trying to avoid a quorum, and we would have a
Got it.
quorum. Okay, so we can't go at the same time. So you're gonna go at 1. So what's your preference for me?
Yeah, 1:30 is good.
You want me to come at
1:30?
1:30? Okay, and I'll come at 1:30. Hold on. Let me put that in there. Hold on.
Herb at 1 and iPad at 1:30?
Yeah, my name is Chuck Damari.
Chuck.
And Dave, what's your address again, just so I know it?
33 Lake Drive.
33 Lake Drive. So you'll be looking for me. I'll be coming up in a Jeep. Okay. And how about Jeff? Can you go on October 6th sometime, just so we can get the same date? Or do you want to go some other time?
I could go on the 6th.
What time do you want to go, Jeff?
Well,
Herb's going at 1. I'm going at 1:30.
How about I come at 3?
Frankly, I don't think I can tell you, Jeff, anything you don't already know.
Yeah, but he wants to take pictures. So we can collectively, we want pictures so we can see how detrimental this is or not, okay? All right.
All right, so 3 o'clock, okay, David?
Sure, that's fine.
And this is all October the 6th?
Yep.
Okay, 2020. Okay, we don't have to post that part of it, but obviously the minutes will reflect that that's happening.
David, your address again, sorry. Your address again, David?
33.
33, got it, thank you.
Okay, all right, so let's move on. Everyone can stay if they want to stay, but Steve and Megan, you don't have to stay. We're gonna go on with the agenda.
Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Okay, great. All right, now we're gonna move.
Thank you very much.
I guess we're all set.
Okay.
Okay.
We're all set then?
Yeah, you guys
All
can
right,
go.
thanks a lot.
We'll see you again on the next meeting, which is October the 14th at 7 o'clock, okay?
Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, great. Take care. Now, I have a motion on the agenda, motion and a discussion, and hopefully we can be brief on this. Motion to increase the applications for the special permits and variances Presently, they're $300. I want to increase them to $400. And the site plan review is presently $100. I want to increase that to $200. I don't want any decision on it. I just want a discussion. And I want you to know why I am proposing this. The reason I'm proposing this is because up until this pandemic, when we had variance or special permit applications, there were $300. We agreed to that some time ago. And the $300 covered is approximately $300 to $350. It was the cost to publish for 2 consecutive weeks the notice of the public hearing. Now, and that's what I thought this public hearing would cost, but instead it cost between not $300 to $350. It cost between $500 and $550. And the reason it costs between $500 and $550 is because of this being a virtual meeting. The state law or the regulations require extra verbiage in the public notice that I had to put in. In fact, if you see, you all have a copy of it, but just to see that this part up here is approximately the verbiage that I would have on without the pandemic. And this is the verbiage
Say something
that's
like
with the pandemic. And this added verbiage is what we are required to add, and that costs an extra $200. You know, so our budget, the zoning board budget, is about $1,000 a year. And you know, again, I've been on this board in my 25th year now. We've never deficit spended, and the reason we haven't deficit spended is we never had to use much of that $1,000. But I'm afraid if we don't raise the fees, and we have many more of these, I don't know how long the pandemic's going to go. Go ahead, Jeff.
Chuck, I fully support on anything that requires notice. What about the site plan review though? Because I don't believe that has hearings associated with it, or a notice requirement.
Well, I just thought that since we're raising fees, we should do it there too. That fee, as you know, is only $100. And given that I have also gone through that process myself, and given sometimes the extended periods of times that involves, I could imagine a situation where the zoning board or the planning board, depending upon what, I know we're only speaking for the zoning board right now, may have some other expenses. And I thought
that could involve Tessa's time.
I'm sorry?
That could involve Tessa's time that we are.
Well, I was thinking of that too, that Tessa's, that, you know, we have employees. Tessa is our employee and she gets paid. I know it's not out of that zoning board budget, but she's getting paid out of another budget. But I think that we might ask her to do things. We might ask her to drive places, and there's going to be extra copy paper costs. So I just thought that it would make sense. And I picked a compromise between the $300 to $350 instead of $550 to $400 to $450. So eventually costs are going up anyway. Again, I don't want to vote on this tonight. I just want a discussion about how you will feel about this. Maybe you want me to go to higher, or maybe you don't want this $100 to $200. I mean, so the idea is to put it on the next agenda to have a vote. But I think we have to put it on the agenda, have a discussion, and then table it, vote on it. And I don't think it's valid unless we do that process. At least that's my understanding, and I could be wrong.
Chuck, just a quick question. So would this be something where maybe we could at least, I don't know that it would be written in the text, but the notion would be that these costs might go down, right? Once we don't have to publish this anymore. But so the notion, might be that at some point, if our costs go back down again, we would be able to reduce this to sort of, because I think, historically we've tried to sort of be neutral, right? So that the publishing costs plus a little bit of the overhead are the cost of the permit. And so if the costs go down again, we could always vote to reduce these.
Absolutely, but I do want to say this. again, 25 years, the last, say, not including the last couple of years, but before that, say not counting the last 2 or 3 years, we easily were able to publish something for the $300 range. But recently, we've been deficit spending. I mean, I'm never deficit spending in the sense of spending more than $1,000 a year, but these costs are averaging $350 even without the virtual language, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. These 6 lines, that virtual language, is the new language. So we've gone from 350 to 550. So I think we're going to be, I can see us going back, but maybe instead of 300, it might be 350, but eventually it's going to be 400 anyway, because I see what the Gazette's doing. They're raising their costs. So it's true, it might be after the pandemic, the real cost might be 360, but it will be less than a year or two. It'll be 390. So I'm just, and I think we can certainly justify it, because I can imagine site plan reviews or for special permits or for variances. There's a lot of paper, and they were killing a lot of trees, and Tessa will probably be doing the tree killing for that. So anyway, yeah, we could do that. We can always change our minds, but I'm just looking at something that maybe we don't have to change any minds for several more years. And
Yeah, sounds good to me. The planning board just upped its fees on certain classes of special permits, solar being one of them.
And you had, how much did you up it?
Oh, you should call Deacon. I think it's up to 500 or something.
Okay.
Something
All right.
like
So
that.
400 sounds good to you. How about you? Even if it's just temporary. You're all good in that?
All good
All
with
right.
that, yeah.
All right. I'm going to put it, Charlie, you're good with it? Okay. So I'm going to put this on the agenda.
Yep,
We
I'm
discussed it. We have good feelings about it. And the next meeting, probably October 14th, we'll vote on that. Okay. And that's going to include not only the $300 to $400 for the special permit and the variances, but the $100 to $200 on the site plan, on the open space design, or wherever it is, site plan review without a special permit. Okay. All right. Let's move on to education guidance. I see we have 2. David Shannabrook, I think, was the first of the 2. And David and I have had many conversations and many texts, maybe some emails too. David, I understand you also perhaps talked to Jeff Lacey too. Is that right? Okay. So my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you are presently living in Pelham. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, you're a member of the Board of Selectmen there. Is that?
Yeah, I am. That's a
Okay. Okay. So my understanding is you're considering buying a lot of land in Shutesbury, approximately 29 acres. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is like a kind of a moving target. The realtor isn't been that helpful to be. It's the exact acreage on this.
Doesn't have to be exact. Approximately. Yeah. It's not.
Yeah, even actually, my brother Michael is also in on this call. He's kind of helping me out on this. I'm sorry. Let me.
Again, all I'm asking is if it's approximately 29, it could be 28, it could be 30.
Yeah,
in that range.
It's in that range. I think it's,
okay.
And I'll get you the exact number in a minute.
We don't need the exact number.
Okay.
But my understanding is that one of the reasons you want to buy this is there's a present house there. That's correct?
There's a house there, right?
And you might want to reconstruct that. Is that right?
Yes. There's a house there, and the house is in pretty poor shape. They're selling the house as is. And so that's kind of what they're selling. They're selling a house, and most of the land is now under conservation under 61B. I'm going to tell you, it's there's 38 acres total, and there's 4 acres that are not in 61B. So as far as I know, there's 34 acres under 61. chapter 61 and have been for a very, well, I think Jeff told me, a very long time. So the couple, I mean, they're selling the house as is. My thought was, I'm not sure the house, if it's a tear down or how much. I haven't gotten anyone in to look at it to see what it would really cost to get it. It might not be a tear down, but it's pretty extensive. It hasn't been lived in for a number of years. The thought was taking the land out of chapter 61B, paying whatever appropriate taxes were due, if there were any, and then using it as a cluster development, which would mean putting it back into conservation and keeping out, the acreage right in front and putting in cluster housing.
Okay, and the reason I wanted David to come here, and we had extensive communications and conversations, and one thing that I didn't know, and Jeff, I thought you might know, given that it's in chapter 61 right now, and given that lawfully he could take it out of chapter 61, the question I'm asking you, Jeff, your opinion, that's all, nothing's binding here, and please, I think I've already told you, Dave, anything that we say to you at one of these education guidance meetings is not binding, because we don't have any applications before us, but the question is whether or not, say, the planning board, because you're the liaison from the zoning board to the planning board, would consider an open space design under these circumstances. And I guess that's the question. And is this something that we should direct David to go to the planning board for a discussion, or keep him here if he decides to go forward with this purchase and just talk about tear downs and reconstructions? Because if there's only 4 acres that are not right now in conservation restrictions, obviously that's what we'd be talking about. I don't see with just 4 acres, unless you have, what is the frontage of those 4 acres? Just so.
500 to 600 feet, although it might not be contiguous, because there's actually the house, the property wraps around another property and it comes
So you
out.
might have to go to the planning board for that anyway, but you would need, beyond that one house, if you wanted 2 houses on the 4 acres, you certainly would have to go to the planning board anyway, if there was not a sufficient frontage. But the question is whether or not the planning board would entertain an open space design if they looked at this as 34 acres without anything being in conservation restrictions. So that's the only reason I asked him to come here. I didn't want to answer that question.
That's an easy one. We don't have a choice whether we'd entertain it. We would entertain it under Article 5 of our zoning bylaw. That's where I'm having trouble remembering this conversation, David. I'm sorry. Is this the land over on West Pelham Road?
Cooleyville?
Cooleyville Road.
Cooleyville. Okay. Cooleyville. All right.
Right in the center, going right through this.
It's right down the hill a little bit. Yeah, on the left.
Oh. Is it on the dirt part of Cooleyville?
No, it's before that. Before it branches off, there's an intersection. Actually, part of the frontage is on that, but the house itself is before that.
Okay. Yeah, it's a White House.
It's White House.
Okay, I know the place. All right. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's in 61. I mean, almost all the open space in Shutesbury is in 61. If you were to do an open space design project and use some of that 61 land to calculate your development rights, I believe the way 61 is worded now, you would have to pay the rollback taxes. Even if it would eventually go into a conservation restriction, it seems silly, but the way the law is now, you still have to pay the rollback on that. But that's pretty common, that land comes out of 61 to do these kinds of things. And this would be all with the planning board. And if you're doing a subdivision, it would be with the planning board, because you'd have a new road proposed. If it was a non-subdivision, you would not have a new road. You'd be using the road frontage, or you'd be using a shared driveway or something like that. And that would be a special permit from the planning board. So it's either subdivision approval if a new road or a special permit if no new road. But it's definitely with us, with the planning board, so you should come see us.
Okay, all right, so David, that answers the question. You can do it, but it's not us, it's them, and it's only us if it's just a reconstruction and a tear down of one house, okay? If
And
it's not that,
if it's
Go to-
open space, is that considered something that can be rejected? I mean, is it, if I make an open space design, is there, I mean, how is that something that could be just said no?
no, you have a right. The question is how much steep slopes you have, how much wetlands you have, and that's all the planning boards have to look at it.
Right.
And they have to look at it and apply the criteria that's in the bylaws.
Okay.
And it's up, and they have, I think it's a matter of right if you meet it, but there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts, and shared driveways and special permits for that. And, I've gone through this process, as I told you, and that was a 3-year process. I don't know that the next one will be a 3-year process because that was the first time we did it. So, but I can imagine it's a year or a year and a half process.
Well, I can read through the bylaws. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, my understanding about Chapter 61 is that it's a 10-year cycle, so that you wouldn't have to pay back taxes, I believe, if it's at the end of the 10-year cycle. It's only if you withdraw it within the 10-year cycle. That's my understanding.
So if it's a second,
I think if you got to the end of that cycle and then just didn't renew it, you'd be out from under.
Yes, that's my understanding as well.
but if
Either way, it's a planning board question.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I think you should go to the planning board. Tessa actually also works for the planning board, and Jeff is the liaison to us, a member of the planning board and the zoning board. So that's where the discussion has to happen.
Good.
And that's, you'll be further educated. I just wanted to know, what I didn't know is whether the effect of Chapter 61, and I think we got that answer, so.
I did.
Go there.
Good,
Okay.
thank you. What a long meeting you guys have had. I appreciate you taking the time to fit me in here at the end. You must be tired. I know. These
Well, we
meetings-
have another one. Okay, now I think we have another. Andy, are you here?
Take care.
No, the other Andy. Andy, above Andy. Andy, your last name is Cloutier. Is that right?
Cloutier, yeah.
Okay, now to my members, I direct my members to look at, we have a plan that I asked you to look at. Let me see if I can get that plan in front of me as well. Okay, Tessa's showing us the plan. See, Tessa's showing it to us. So if everybody can get that plan in front of them.
Got it.
Okay, I have it too, right here.
Get mine too.
You got it? All right. Tessa emailed this to everybody.
Yeah.
Or I did, or both of us did. So you all have it in front of you. All right, Andy, what do you want to do with this? What is this? Tell us about this. Is that you, Andy, up there? See, not Andy Berg. Andy.
I would just like to put up a steel structure.
Okay.
Right here. I would just like to put up a steel structure with a cement pad, pretty much a big shed. I don't have a foundation under my house. So
Okay,
I have no place to store it.
where on this diagram is
I
your
like doing
house?
woodwork.
Andy, where is the house on this diagram?
My house is right smack dab in the middle of the lot. You can see
Okay.
the gray outline of it.
Okay, there's a gray, all the dots,
Yeah.
that's the house? Okay. So that's the house, and the proposed structure, is 16 by 24, is that right?
That's correct.
And the proposed structure, how close is the proposed structure to the sidelines and the front line?
The front line, we measured, it was 16 feet from the center of the road, but the edge of the road, it's 12.
And where is this road? This is
It's the
80 Shore.
drive.
Okay. And then how about Go ahead.
From my abutter's property line, it's 14 feet. From the property line to the left of the house, it's 63.
Okay, hold on. I want to look at the, Jeff, I know you have this memorized. I think I have it here. So we're in the Lake District, right? That's the Lake District, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we have minimum front yard setback is 20 feet. And the minimum side setback is 15 feet. And the lake setback is 25 feet. Are you on the lake?
No, I'm a back lot.
Okay, so we're dealing with a 15-foot sideline and a 20-foot front setback. All right, so it sounds to me, and again, this is a steel structure, no sides. It's like a carport. Is that what it is?
It's gonna have sides.
It has
It's
sides.
gonna have. Yes.
Does it close completely? Is it a garage door?
Yes.
Or? Oh,
Yeah.
so it's a,
Yep. It'll be a
All
steel
right.
garage, steel garage.
okay, so Jeff, go ahead, weigh in.
I can save us a lot of time. This is a detached, non-habitable structure that doesn't meet the setbacks.
Correct.
That's correct.
That's
So
correct.
that would come in under 4.2-2B2. And that's a special, we've done these before, lots of them. And that's a special
Page
permit.
7 of our present bylaws. Go ahead.
Yeah,
4.2.
4.2-2D2, special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we've done quite a few of these.
Okay.
And
All right.
You can only do it if it's a non-habitable structure.
Okay. So that's your answer, Andy. You can apply for a special permit. In the application, it seems like you're encroaching to some extent on the
Yep.
front setback, and you're encroaching to some extent on the side setback. So as a result, you need a special permit. You have to make an application.
Okay.
Obviously, if you make an application before October 15th, October 14th, you'll pay $300. But if
Done.
you don't,
Already done.
it's a fair chance it might be 400, but go ahead. You want to say something, Andy?
So I just print up the application. I drop it off at the town hall.
Yeah, you have to, Tessa could help you with that, who's here. She's our land use clerk, but to me, to perfect an application, you have to file the application with the town clerk, and you have to pay the fee, which is today $300. Okay?
Okay.
And then once you do that, you and I have to have some conversations on the phone about when we will have this meeting, because it's going to be at least 3 weeks after you apply will be the earliest time we have a meeting. It could be 3 or 4 weeks later we have a meeting like this. We had a meeting tonight, September 30th. The application was August 25th or something. Okay, so
Right,
it's a month later. You're 3, 4, 5 weeks later.
Okay.
Okay, so it sounds like it's doable by special permit, and you witnessed tonight what that might be like. This is more extensive than most of our hearings, but
I'm glad I don't live on the water.
right. All right. So do you need any more advice or counsel from us on this issue? Yeah, your application. The applications are available on the town website. You're gonna look at the page 9, which is B 4.2-2. Section is a B or C?
B2.
B2. So you're gonna read that and focus on that, and again, it's whether it's detrimental or not to the neighborhood. So it might behoove you to talk to neighbors to see what they think about it, because that's what it's kind of like we had tonight. But you're not in the lake, so it's not as difficult. But it's going to encroach on the side. It's gonna encroach on the side, so your side neighbor
All
has
right,
something to say about this, and you're gonna encroach on the front, so,
right. Yeah.
all right,
yeah,
if you make the application,
absolutely.
contact me, and then we'll start setting up we'll set up times that you're available and I'm available and Tessa's available. Once we have the three of us available, I ask the rest of the members if they're available, all right? And then we set it up according to all of our schedules, all right?
Good.
Any
Thank
other
you very much.
questions, Andy? Okay, great.
No, I should be good. Should be good.
All right.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. Continuing on, we're going now to item 5, which is new business. Is there any new business? Andy, one thing's for sure, you can't be available from October 15th to when?
I'm waiting to find out when that's going to be, but probably I would say till early November is my guess.
You think you'll be back by election day? Which is November 3rd, I think.
I suspect it's going to be a little bit after election day. I'm
Okay.
thinking it's going to be something like October 15th to like November 10th or something like
Okay.
that. So
All right. So
I
I'm
might
gonna-
be reliant on Herb for
Okay.
some of those
I'm
times.
noting that in my notes, so I know you're not available during that period of time in terms of whatever else we may do in the future, and then, you know.
And it's not impossible that I'd be available after that. I just don't know the exact timing of when I will be.
Okay, fair enough. Any other new business? Hearing none. Any old business? Actually, I should say new business. Welcome, Tessa, because this is the first time.
Wow.
Welcome.
You know,
Welcome.
welcome to Tessa.
Thank you.
I don't know if, Jeff, have you had the pleasure of meeting Tessa at the planning board yet?
No, it's the first time.
Okay,
Hi.
because Tessa will be working for the planning board too, and the Conservation Commission, and I don't know if anybody else knows Tessa. Tessa does live in South Deerfield, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, no more new business, no old business? We're all set about that, okay. Schedule site inspections, we did that. Schedule our next meeting, we did that. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A
Seconded.
second? All in favor, aye?
I
Aye.
All opposed,
Who was
nay?
Sorry, who was the first and second?
I seconded it.
And Jeff, I think Jeff Lacy made the motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And we all, 4 of us unanimously agreed. I think the time is 9:34. Is that it? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
9:34, okay.
Josh,
Long meeting, Tessa, on your first meeting, it's very long, and these are not usually this long, but some of them with these height issues, you
Yeah.
know, could be very long. So they won't all be like this, but welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Have a
See
good
you
night.
see you at the lake.
Tessa, I'll be putting another agenda together, obviously, for the other meeting. I'll get that to you in a timely manner, and you're gonna do the same thing in terms of posting it and the virtual and all that. And do you do that? Does Andy do that in terms of the town website? We'll do that before Andy goes, that's for sure. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
the combo. We'll be in touch.
All right, we'll be in
Sounds
touch. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Later.
Thank you
Bye.
all for your
good night,
your
everyone.
patience. Take care.